everyone, I'm Sham. Welcome back to Sham's Makeup. Today we're going to look at another Natasha Denona's eyeshadow palette. So recently she came out with her bronze palette, which I already did my review on. So if you haven't checked out my review on the bronze palette, I will link it right here. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel. So today we're going to look at another palette that was recently released, and it's the Glam Eyeshadow palette. So this is how the box packaging looks like, and this is the eyeshadow itself. So there are 15 eyeshadow shades in this particular palette, and they retail at $65. So this particular palette is not a limited edition, so it's going to be in her permanent collection. So you have all your time to decide if you're going to pick up this palette or not. Again, this palette does contain 15 eyeshadows. They have mattes, shimmers and metallics in them. So this is how the palette looks like. And it does come with a very decent mirror that you are able to use to apply eye makeup or even face makeup with it. I do like a standard mirror which looks like this, which you can make use of it instead of just kind of like sliding this way. And you can actually pop out these shadows. The tiny holes here, you just have to pop those shadows, and if you want to separately place them, you can do that as well. For me personally, I don't see myself like removing them from the palette itself unless it's necessary. So looking at the Sephora website and its details, it does say that it's an everyday palette that creates super dramatic smoky eye as well as a variety of natural and extreme glam look. It's free of parabens, and this product is also cruelty free. And this palette includes shade names after an ideal place to apply them, helping you to create glam makeup looks. It is if you have a special insider makeup tips from Natasha Denona herself when you apply these shadows. So that was kind of like a description of the eyeshadow palette. If you look at this particular palette, most of the shades, it kind of looks like it's very much cool tone, but there are warmer shades in this palette as well. That's what triggered me to purchase this palette. If I take a look at the very first go, I felt like this palette has more of cool tones and it would not suit my deeper skin tone. But after taking a look at a lot of swatches online, it was definitely right up my alley. I can see myself totally loving this eyeshadow palette. And the other thing that I personally noticed about this eyeshadow palette was it's very similar to the Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. So the shades are very much similar if you look at it at one glance. So I am going to do swatches for you guys so that you can get a better picture. Although I love my Naked 2 eyeshadow palette by Urban Decay, I am still a fan of Natasha Denona's eyeshadows. I feel that her eyeshadows are so smooth, so buttery smooth, that you can work with it super easily. You do not need much of a time or put in a lot of effort to create an eye look that you particularly want to achieve. So before we get into the swatches, I just want to quickly come back to the palette and let you guys know what I personally did not like in this palette. Although the name references here is kind of helpful for us to create an eyeshadow look, I personally did not like that. So I personally do not see myself using the eyeshadows like, like blend, smoke. Probably the lash line, certain eyeshadows I would use it like according to the reference, but most of it I'll just use it like as and how I like it. So I don't see why we need this reference in an eyeshadow palette. And when I want to create a look, especially here on YouTube, I have to like kind of like point and let you guys know what are the eyeshadows that I'm picking up to create the eye look, because most of the shadows here are center lid, outer lid, and then come back to inner and then crease, and then they go back to inner corner, center lid, outer lid. So it's just very complicated in my opinion. Other than that, this palette is definitely a beautiful one. So let's very quickly look at its swatches and also the eye makeup that I've created, and then I'll come back and share with you guys my final thought on the Natasha Denona's Glam Eyeshadow palette. So here are the swatches. The very first one is Dusty Light Rose. Up next we have Medium Warm Grey Brown. We have Peachy Champagne. And then we have a medium cool taupe. We have a mushroom gray. Up next is medium cool brown. And then next we have cool sienna. We have deep cool brown. We have abalone. Up next is medium warm silver. We have a golden nude. We have a pecan brown, a light nude. Up next is cool gray brown. And the last one is neutral champagne. And we are going to compare the shades with the Naked 2 palette by Urban Decay. So here are the eyeshadow shades from the Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. So I'm going to apply the eye primer over my eye area. So for the eye look, I'm going to do what's comfortable for me. I'm not going to use any of the direction that is kind of like a reference here. So I'm just going to do a smoky eye to show you guys how intense these eyeshadows were on my skin tone. So I'm going to pick up a very light shade, which is in the shade Blend. I'm going to kind of blend this on my crease area. So I kind of prefer to use like deeper shade to smoke out my eye look for today. And the silvery shade do wear like pretty light on my skin tone, so I have to blend it a little bit more so that it wears beautifully on a deeper skin tone. So I'm just creating a definition on the crease area. So this is like a very quick smoky eye look that you can create. So now I'm using the same brush. I'm just picking up a deeper shade, which is Smoke. It's a matte shade on the outer corner. And bringing it to the inner corner. So most of these matte shades blend in very beautifully. You don't need much of a blending. So I'm just picking out the next shade I'm going to apply over my lid with my fingers. I like doing this with her shimmery or metallic shades. So I'm just going to dab this in. Now using a clean brush, I'm just going to blend these edges on the top area. I'm going to apply eyeliner on my inner rim. You can do it on the upper lid too if that's what you want. So now I'm going to smoke out my lower lid with an eye pencil. So using a pencil brush, I'm going to pick up this particular shimmery shade. And lightly I'm just smoking out the lower lid area. This is more of like a grayish bronze shade. Just blending the outer corner. So I'm going to apply a goldy shade to my brow bone area. So the same brow bone shade I'm going to use on my inner corners because I kind of feel that this particular shade works for me on my inner corners as well. So I'm pretty sure you guys have already seen my swatches and also my eye makeup. I again did not use any of the shades as reference to create the eye look. I just created an eye look that I personally like. But overall, this palette is a lovable palette. I really like this palette. I personally feel that among all the Natasha Denona's eyeshadow palettes that I personally own, hands down, this is one of her best palette yet. I feel the eyeshadows are super creamy, super smooth, and again, easily workable. Even if you're a beginner, you would not struggle with the shadows. They're super easy to blend. Even with your fingers, they work just fine. Would I recommend this for those of us who have deeper skin tone? I definitely would. It shows up pretty well on my skin tone, so I can see that most of us will be able to create a beautiful eye look with this palette. So if you're looking for one palette from Natasha Denona, you might want to check this out. And I hope that you found my review and my comparison with the Naked 2 palette swatches being helpful for you guys to decide or not if you're going to pick up the Natasha Denona's Glam Eyeshadow palette. To my very next one, stay beautiful both inside and out, and goodbye.